Alright, so I wanted to do a quick demo of a new feature I've added to the radio and Morse product in the signal communication packs. So for the transmitters, radio transmitters, what I've done is I've given you the ability to actually output radio waves. So this is a really, really big scale. So if you zoom in here, you can see a little bit what they look like. The noise is kind of interesting. Not 100% happy with that. I'm tweaking it just a little bit to see if I can get it more actual, like little pixels instead of that look. I mean, it is technically, but it just when it's so tightly packed together, it kind of gives this neat little pattern thing. But at any rate, so it's basically a shader that's just applied to a plane with very low geometry. So it shouldn't take up a whole lot of space. So when you actually look at the radio wave itself, it's just a plane, 32 verts, 30 triangles. So really small. You should be able to put a whole bunch of these in a scene and not have a problem. So when you go back here, a few things you can do. So you'll be able to change the color. You want to go to whatever color you want. You can also change the opacity. You can adjust the speed of the waves. Right now there's a whole bunch of them, so at a higher speed, they're going to be flying by. Okay, so you can change the count of the waves. So because this is so large, you're going to want to up the count, because otherwise, when you look at it from the game view, you won't be able to see them go by. So like if it's a really large broadcast area, there's a script, and I'll show you that in just a second, the way that that's added, that actually adjusts the size of the plane to the broadcast range. And like I said, I'll get to that in a second. The next thing, in here. And so you can also do the scale of the waves. So you can make them narrow, or you can make them really, really big and fat. Okay, you can also adjust the amount of noise, and that's those two, the scale modifier as well as the level, are clamped between these values. Otherwise, they can disappear, or they do some really weird stuff. And you can turn off the noise completely and just have that. And with that there, you can make them down even smaller. And you can make them very translucent, just so you can barely see them. And like in this case, you can really barely see them. So we could adjust that a little bit more. There we go. So they're not as obtrusive. Okay, so you can see it live from this viewpoint. So you can see is if you adjust the wave count, you can get more of a picture of what they're doing. Okay, so now I was telling you about the way the script works. So if we zoom out to the whole size of this thing, we can also go to the station antenna, or the broadcast range for the shed. So if you actually look at the effective range, it's got these handles that you can drag for the size. Well, it actually changes that plane as well. So if you are going to scale it way down, then you can go into the wave plane and actually decrease the number. Because right now you'd have a whole ton of them come by. So you can actually decrease that back down to a smaller value if you want. So anyway, that's it. I've got a little bit more tweaking to do to get it where I'm happy with it. Like I said, the only thing that's kind of bugging me is the noise generation. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's just not there yet. Yeah, that's the other problem with the scale modifier. When you've got the noise generation on, because of the nature of it, it can disappear if you get too small. But anyway, so probably going to spend another day or so just tweaking and testing, and then I think I want to make it to where it'll either programmatically generate the material when you add it to this, when you add the component onto it. Um, I'm not entirely sure because I'd like you to be able to set each one to different colors. Like if you had one that was broadcasting one kind of thing, you might want it to be a certain color, or you might want to change the color for something. And as it is right now, because they all share the same material, so you'd have to manually go in and create copies of the material. You can use the same shader, but just you have to use just copies of the material, um, and put on each one individually. So I'm going to see if I can streamline that a little bit for us, and if so, then hopefully I can get that done in the next day or so. I've also been doing a little bit of code cleanup and other things, but that's for another video when I do the release. Anyway, hope you guys like it, and if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you, or go on the forum, and I'll have a link down in the description to the forum. You can go on there and post any questions or requests or concerns, anything like that. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.